In our last video, we explained different sectors in Indian economy and how to calculate total product. In this video, we are going to explain the importance of tertiary sector. The tertiary sector or service sector we know, it provides services to both primary sector as well as secondary sector. Let us see the rising importance of the tertiary sector in production, and we'll also find out the importance of tertiary sector in creating employment opportunities in India. We have two graphs. If we analyze the graph, we'll find that over the 40 years between 1971-72 and 2011-12, while the production in all the three sectors has increased, it has increased the most in the tertiary sector. As a result, in the year 2011-12, the tertiary sector has emerged as the largest producing sector in India, replacing the primary sector. If we see the percentage share of the three sectors in GDP, we find that in India, where there has been a change in the share of the three sectors in GDP, a similar shift has not taken place in employment. The graph shows the share of employment in the three sectors in 1972-73 and 2011-12. The primary sector continues to be the largest employer even now. Now the question is, why didn't a similar shift out of primary sector happen in case of employment? It is because not enough jobs were created in the secondary and tertiary sectors. Even though industrial output or the production of goods went up by more than 9 times during the period, employment in the industry went up by around 3 times. The same applies to tertiary sector as well, while production in the service sector rose by more than 14 times. Employment in the service sector rose around 5 times. As a result, more than half of the workers in the country are working in the primary sector, mainly in agriculture, producing only a quarter of the GDP. In contrast to this, the secondary and tertiary sector produce 3/4 of the produce, whereas they employ less than half the people. Does this mean that the workers in agriculture are not producing as much as they could? So obviously it comes that there is unemployment or underemployment in agriculture sector. Now let us find out the rising importance of the tertiary sector, or why is the tertiary sector becoming so important in India? We have several reasons for that. First, in any country, several services such as hospitals, educational institutions, post and telegraph services, police stations, courts, village administrative offices, municipal corporations, defense, transport, banks, insurance companies, etc. are required. These can be considered as basic services. In a developing country, The government has to take responsibility for the provision of these services, like India. Second, the development of agriculture and industry leads to the development of services such as transport, trade, storage, and many more. Greater the development of the primary and secondary sector, more would be the demand for such services. Thirdly, as income levels rise, certain sections of people start demanding many more services like eating out, tourism, shopping, private hospitals, private schools, professional training, etc. Fourth, over the past decade or so, certain new services such as those based on information and communication technology have become important and essential. The production of these services has been rising rapidly. However, not all of the service sector is growing equally well. Service sector in India employs many different kinds of people. At one end, there are a limited number of services that employ highly skilled and educated workers. At the other end, there are a very large number of workers engaged in services such as small shopkeepers, repair persons, transport persons, etc. These people barely manage to earn a living and yet they perform these services because no alternative opportunities for work are available to them. Hence, only a part of this sector is growing in importance. Now, let us see the types of agricultural unemployment in India. Already, we have mentioned that workers in agricultural sectors are unemployed. Let us take one example. Suppose a person owning about 2 hectares of unirrigated land, dependent only on rain and growing crops like jawar and arahar. There are 5 members in that family. All 5 members work in the plot throughout the year. Now the question is why they are working. They have nowhere else to go for work. And that is why everyone is working, none remains idle, but in actual fact, their labor effort gets divided. Each one is doing some work, but no one is fully employed. This is the situation of underemployment. People, where people are apparently working, but all of them are made to work less than their potential. This kind of unemployment is hidden in contrast to someone who does not have a job and is clearly visible as unemployed. Hence, it is also called disguised unemployment or hidden unemployment. Now, there are 2 types of unemployment we see. Seasonal unemployment. Agriculture does not provide employment round the year. It is also known as perennial unemployment. Sowing and harvesting season ranges between 5 and 7 months. For the rest of the period, the cultivator has to remain idle. Experts believe that an Indian cultivator remains unemployed for 5 to 6 months. Even the next sowing season starts, he gets he again goes back to cultivation. Therefore, it is called seasonal unemployment. Disguised unemployment or underemployment or hidden unemployment. When more people are engaged than actually required for production, it is called disguised unemployment. If a part of labor force is withdrawn from the farm, the total output of the farm will remain unchanged. The withdrawn labor force will be termed as disguised unemployment or disguisedly employed. Under this situation, the marginal productivity of labor is zero. Now let us understand the concept of disguised unemployment with the help of an example. In the previous example, we have mentioned that there are 5 members in a family, and all the 5 members are working in a small plot of land. Now, suppose two people moving out because they have got some job opportunities in urban area. Now, after two people moving out, it does not affect production on their farm. Therefore, these two people are called disguisedly employed. How to create more employment? There are several ways by which the employment opportunities can be created. The government can spend some money, or banks can provide credit to construct a well for the farmers to irrigate the land. The farmers will then be able to irrigate their land and take a second crop during the off season. Let us suppose that 1 hectare of wheat can provide employment to two people for 50 days. So, two more members of the family can be employed in agricultural field. Now, suppose a new dam is constructed and canals are dug to irrigate many such farms. This could lead to a lot of employment generation within the agriculture sector itself, reducing the problem of underemployment. If the government invests some money in transportation and storage of crops or makes better rural roads so that mini trucks reach everywhere, several farmers who now have access to water can continue to grow and sell crops. This activity can provide productive employment to not just farmers but also other such those in services like transport or trade. To cultivate the land, farmers need seeds, fertilizers, agricultural equipments, and pump sets to draw water. The poor farmer cannot afford many of these. So, the farmers will have to borrow money from moneylenders and pay a high rate of interest. But if the local banks give credit at a reasonable rate of interest, farmers will be able to buy all these in time and cultivate their agricultural land. This means that along with water, we also need to provide cheap agricultural credit to the farmers for farming to improve. Another way by which we can tackle this problem is to identify, promote, and locate industries and services in semi rural areas where a large number of people may be employed. By opening a cold storage can give opportunity for farmers to store their products like potatoes and onions and sell them when the price is good. Moreover, we see by providing education facilities. Now, let us see a fact. In India, 60% of the population belongs to the age group of 5 to 29 years. Out of these, only about 64% are attending educational institutions. The rest are not. They may be at home, or many of them may be working as child laborers. If these children are to attend schools, we will require more buildings, more teachers, and other stuff. A study conducted by the Planning Commission estimates that nearly 20 lakhs jobs can be created in the education sector. Similarly, if we are to improve the health situation, we need many more doctors, nurses, health workers, etc. to work in rural areas. These are some ways by which jobs would be created, and we would also be able to address the important aspects of development. Moreover, by promoting tourism, regional craft industry, or new services like IT, jobs opportunity can be created. A study conducted by the Planning Commission states that if tourism as a sector is improved, every year we can give additional employment to more than 35 lakhs people. Next, we'll explain right to work. So we have already explained some suggestions that will create the job opportunities in rural sector as well as in urban sector, but it will take a long time to implement. For the short term, we need some quick measures. Recognizing this, the central government in India made a law implementing the right to work in about 625 districts of India. It is called MGNREGA 2005. MGNREGA, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Under MGNREGA 2005, all those who are able to and are in need of work are guaranteed 100 days of employment in a year by the government. If the government fails in its duty to provide employment to the applicants, those who have applied for MGNREGA job, it will give unemployment allowance to the people. The types of work that would in future help to increase the production from land will be given preference under the Act. There are a number of works that are undertaken by this program are labor oriented job, such as plantation, floriculture, creation of social assets, etc., such as dams, canals, roads. Thank you.